Hey everyone, thanks for coming back today. I'm Ashley Norton with SKAIVISION, and we are doing another one of our series on our dealer highlights, or what I like to call our dealer skylights. Today I'm here with Frank Figueiredo, owner of Coastal Chevrolet of Santa Barbara and Nissan of Torrance. Thank you so much for taking your time to join me today, Frank. I know you kind of have a unique perspective coming from the dealer's perspective versus some of the users in our community. So thank you so much. To get us started, tell us a little bit more about your background, how you came into automotive. I heard you're a Tampa boy.
Yeah. So first of all, Ashley, thank you for having us on the podcast here or the video. We appreciate that. Mark Queen and Dan, we go back way back, I think to about 2005. So they've been part of our partnership for quite some time, and they've been very helpful in the success of our careers in many places. So we want to thank you all for having us on. I started very fortunate. My dad was the first Cuban American to have a Chevy dealer in the United States. So we had a dealership in Miami and in North Miami Beach. So my dad's been in the business since 1961. And so this has been my whole life. My entire career has been the auto industry. So like I say, if you take me out of the car industry, the profession, I don't know what I do. I can be in Burger King flipping Whoppers or at McDonald's. So, but this has been a very, fruitful industry for us, for our family, and every day's a challenge. And, I love it. I've been fortunate to be in it quite some time. And I also mentioned that I'm fortunate that I have a PhD in this industry. A lot of people don't have that. Some do. Papa had a dealer. So that made it a little bit easier for us to get into it. But we worked very hard.
Well, those titles.
Yeah, they're good titles. My dad was very strict. We had to work 7 days a week. We had no vacations. It was very demanding. But today, I thank him for where I'm at today due to his discipline and structure and teaching us, the right things in the right way. So
Yeah, very rewarding. Is we're trained up to be as 7-day hardworking. So I very much appreciate that about you. Sorry, I said Tampa boy. You're right. We were talking about the Canes. Go Canes.
Correct. Yeah, that can't, hey, look, best schools in Miami. A lot of good kids came out of Christopher Columbus High School, and a lot of them went to the University of Miami, both in baseball and football. So the Canes has always been our school, our college, so big supporter of the Canes.
It's in your blood.
Oh, yeah. I love green and orange.
There we go.
And my blood cells are little Chevy bow ties.
That's funny. Okay. So you worked with Mark and Dan back in the day, back in the eLeads days. A lot of people know that about our company. How long ago did you get involved with SKAIVISION and bringing on SKAIVISION into the dealerships? Was it right away when Mark?
Yeah, pretty quick. My partner here, Franklin McLarty, is an investor in SKAIVISION, right? So I've been using SKAIVISION, I think, I would say 4 to 5 years already. And like you mentioned right now, Mark Queen, and I don't want to mention the vendor, but, we go back to eLeads, and Mark Queen, and Dan were always very supportive. And, when they came with this product and they showed it to us, we always, as operators, as GMs, sales managers, whatever position it is, you're always trying to make a deal somewhere around the dealership. And the biggest showroom we have, it's not the showroom where the cars are at. It's the showroom where the service customers are at and the service customers waiting. And you're always looking to perfect or better your processes daily. And when, Mark and Dan presented SKAIVISION, it was the glove fit perfect, right? And the ability for the product to help us capture customers that are in your own database already. Number two, they have a relationship with the dealership in the service department, which is really critical. If they're coming to your dealership to service the cars, they're happy with you.
Yeah.
And it makes it a soft sell to the consumer when they're in service. They're not shopping. They're not looking. You're taking time from the wait time that they're doing for the vehicles that are in service. You're helping them maybe to look at something. Maybe, they spoke to their spouse the night before that they want an upgrade, and you're at the right time, the right moment. You have the customer's information, and you have an opportunity to earn their business for another vehicle that that they might need. The product was a very simple sell. It's not hard. It's in your phone. The app is phenomenal on your phone and makes it very easy. You know what's coming in, what's going out, your managers, if they're working it or not. The process is seamless if done correctly and to a T. So, it's a product that enhanced our trade-ins, and not only, selling a car to the consumer. Me personally, I'm not a fan of going to the auction and paying the highest price on a vehicle, bring it to your dealership. You got to recondition it, and you're not in the market to sell that car because they're a little bit priced out. Here, your auction is your service drive, and it helps you, purchase cars, right there. You don't have the auction fees, and you're not bidding against 10 other dealers, 20 dealers, and people online trying to bid for that car. So it's really helped not only the service department or us selling more cars, it's helped our used car department immensely.
Yeah, and it's vehicles that you already know versus the ones you hope you'll figure out when you get them back from auction.
Yeah, great point. You have the history of their service right there in front of you, so which is an added value to the customer if they're trading in the car to you. That's a great point.
And I think it's very easy sometimes, even if I am loyal to a dealership, the amount of time that is perceived for it to take to get my car worked on at a dealership is longer than the amount of time it's perceived at Jiffy Lube, right? And but once I restart that service cycle, because now I've traded in my car, I'm in a newer one, you got me the same payment, I'm happy, but I'm still coming to you to restart that service cycle. So now you've not only acquired a car, you've got a trade, and you've got several more years of that customer being in your dealership every time they need service.
We talk a lot about retention, right? How can we retain a consumer? Is it the $9.99 oil change? Is it the windshield wipers at $4? Is it, all these great, 1980 products that you were able to do, and today you can't do that. So today, in order to retain a customer, you need to have the products that helps you understand the consumer's, behavior and service in the service department, how many times they come in, and also their behaviors and how many times they cycle out of their cars. And again, if you go by industry metrics, you'll find that consumers probably hold their cars about 22 to 28 months, and that's a little long. So this helps that cycle without having to go chase that consumer right there in your service drive that you're already marketing, or if they're just coming in, and it just takes it to that level where it makes it a lot easier for the team to sell the vehicle to the consumer.
Hey, tell me a little bit about so the next we're getting ready for back to school, right? So back to school, you hire a new employee. How do you decide what users get access to work the SKAIVISION leads? Is it a free for all? Is it a promotion? How do you decide that inside of your dealership?
Normally, one of the things that we look at, we get the 10-year sales associates, right? The folks that have been there a little bit, right? Because it's a known face. They know the customers. They've seen the customers once or twice there. They might have spoken to that customer when they bought the car and maybe been in part of the delivery process. Maybe when they came in for some type of, need or help, that salesperson has been here 3, 4, 5 years. So you want to get the 10-year sales associates to attend those consumers, those guests, because they can speak for long-term retention. They can speak for, understanding the consumer, and they understand the behavior of the dealership in a long-term, where it makes it easier for them to be able to explain to the customer, hey, look, I've been working here for 5 years, so I'm here to help you and whatever needs you need. Because, selling these cars out of the service department, it's a very soft sell.
Yep.
You can't really, because you can scare the consumer if you oversell them in the service, and they'll start saying, hey, look, every time we go to that dealership, they want to sell me a car, and, which is our job, but there's ways to do it. And when you have somebody that's a 10-year sales associate and has been there for 5 years, he'll be able to soft sell the process, make the consumer, not feel that they're there for 2 hours. Because, the goal is always to have the consumer, like you mentioned, really quick in and out, and not have them there 4 hours, 5 hours. That's why, like you said, Jiffy Lube, they're the ones that win, and they're not any cheaper than us. And studies have been made that the average oil change at Jiffy Lube is about $85, right? Because they upsell. So we're giving that industry our business because of the long waits, and instead of, and this is a process. Sky Vision is something that can help you eliminate that consumer going somewhere else if you do it right and very soft. And so what I recommend strongly is to get your tenured, good salesperson who understands your product, who understands what programs are out there. Because today the consumers know exactly 0% financing, $3,000 rebates. They know more than a lot of our sales associates. So you want somebody that's experienced, knowledgeable, and that can work a deal from A to Z without having to sit there and have the customer talk to a manager and prolong the process.
Yeah. And we get a lot of feedback from our stores when they struggle to build an internal process that this just isn't working for us. This just isn't working for us. Especially some of our smaller stores with more strapped teams, but what they don't realize is the AI can get that conversation all the way to the point of, are you still at the dealership? Or yes or no, can I call you at this number? Yes, at some point, a human does have to intervene because AI is not going to buy the car for you. But yeah, that's a great point. Make sure you have tenured people who understand the process, who make the customer feel welcome and not overwhelmed by the in-your-face kind of strategies that maybe worked in the past and maybe didn't. So what about for your employees? How do you hold them accountable? Do you use the reporting within SKAIVISION? How do you hold your employees accountable to the results that you want to see every single month over month from the trades being acquired from the drive?
Great question. So you can normally run, like, we average about 50 appointments a day in the service department, right? So what you try to do is you run your appointments for the upcoming days, 3 days, right? And you try to set up to know, if the customer just bought a car a week ago, you just gotta read through the appointments and make sure that the appointments that you have are customers that, the mileage of the vehicle. So what you try to do is just set up and have your appointments from the upcoming days in front of you and set up, the upcoming days, try to have you got to have a salesperson at the service department by the time they open up. Right.
Yes.
And then you got to have a schedule for that. You got to have a manager understanding that they got to be there with the salesperson, and just work through the flow of your appointments for that day, but be ready from the day before. You got to, it's about preparing, execution, and success. So the preparation is pull your upcoming appointments, put them in your trade-in tool, Viato, have a preliminary, appraisal on it with a copy of the repair order. And you have, maybe 10 or 12 or 15 that you're going to talk to that next day, or you have 20. And that way you set yourself up ahead versus getting there in the morning and start running all these reports and you're behind the 8 ball. By the time you do that and you go out, you've had 10 customers already walk through the service department that you won't have an opportunity to talk. You can leave the appraisal in their cars, but if you're there, it makes it a little bit different to communicate and talk to that customer one-to-one. One of the things that I do on Saturdays is I get there at 7 in the morning myself, and I'll work the service department myself. And I'll sell, 1 or 2 cars before noon on a Saturday when I do that. I get busy on other Saturdays. I got other stores and stuff like that. But at the Nissan store, I'll go and work the service drive on Saturday.
Wow. And that's a good point too. So yes, we can rely on AI, right? SKAIVISION's back-end tool, we can set up all of your pricing rules based on year, make, mileage, last time they were in, last time they bought a car. But if you wait until the alerts are coming to you, you could be a little bit behind the 8 ball. AI should help, but a little bit of preparation goes a long way when you're using an application to support the workflows you already have going on.
Yeah. And you just got to hold people accountable. This business, a lot of people a lot of people talk about micromanaging, but I've never called it micromanaging. I just, being brought up in this business in the 80s and 90s, great operators in South Florida. South Florida, for me, is the best automotive industry in the United States, has great operators. But, you got to hold people accountable. You got to coach them. Even a Tom Brady on a Monday morning, even if he threw for 500 yards and 10 touchdowns that Sunday, he's sitting down and watching film. He's being critiqued.
Game tape.
He's being critiqued by the coaches. We know what he does good. But if we better this area of that play, or if we better this player at this point, they're going to excel. They're going to score 11 touchdowns. And it's not micromanaging. Today, really, with today's industry and the teams that are out there and the level of personnel, you need to be all over it and on top of it, maybe more than 20 or 30 years ago. And so a product like this helps you formulate a process for success, a process to sell your 10, 12, 15 cars. And again, your managers have to hold the process and your folks accountable in order for this to succeed. This is a phenomenal product. I mean, you wake up in the morning and you turn on the app and you already know how many, number one, what you did yesterday and what you have coming in today. I mean, your day and your success and your month is in our hands, right? So we can have AI, we can have all these applications. You can have e-leads, you can have DriveSend, you can have all Viato, if you're not using it correctly, and you don't have to use the entire thing. Get your favorite sides of all SKAIVISION, feel what works for you and makes it easier for your team, and you'll win. The good thing about this is I've been with Dan for since 2005. He's there 7 days a week, and he'll answer the call and he'll call us out if we failed in some type of area. That's the type of relationship that we have with Dan. He'll sit there and say, dude, you're missing here. Look at this. You guys had 400 opportunities or whatever, and you only did these amount of appraisals, so he's on top of it with their dealers. And Dan worked for one of the largest groups in the industry, and he understands our side. And when you have vendors who have worked on our side and know what we go through, it makes it easier to push forward, a process and the application that we have working. It's a combination of everything. It's just not only us, right? It's a team that Mark Queen has around him that worked with them, and everybody understands how Mark thinks, and Dan knows how the dealer thinks because he worked at ground level for a long time, and it just makes the process a lot easier.
Yep. And I love that you said that. It makes me even more proud to have joined this team just 9 months ago. Now I met Mark on the road, and it was just an easy fit. It's a great technology outside of what we do with acquisitions and everything we do with cycle time. So I'm very happy you said that. Anything else you want to add from a dealer's perspective? Anything that if somebody's considering any sort of an acquisitions tool, anything you want to add?
So this is very simple. We as operators look at ROI and how fast can you get your money out from the investment that you've done. Only one car returns your money on this product. All you got to do is sell one car and you paid yourself 100% of what you invested. There's not too many products out there that you can say that. And so and I'm not, again, I've known Dan and Mark for years, and I don't normally do these type of interviews or presentations, but I know who they are and how important they are to, at least to my business. But like I said, if you're looking for an ROI, a very healthy ROI, SKAIVISION is the way to go.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Frank. I really, really appreciate your time. Let me know next time you're out here on the East Coast, and maybe we'll get a drink together.
Absolutely.
But have a great rest of your day. Again, thank you so much. I'm Ashley, SKAIVISION, Frank Figueiredo. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.